Hello and welcome to SideQuest, episode number 44. It's the Remake Mondays edition.
Remake Monday.
Remake.
You know,
in high definition.
Yes.
I used to really hate when they do remakes and remasters all the time, but they've been kind of on a roll. Like game companies in general have been doing a better job with remakes, I think, than in the past, where it'd just be like, here's the same game, slightly better graphics.
Yeah.
Well, now it's like, here is a game-changing version of this game.
Well, I feel like enough of the mechanics and the norms of how video games are being developed have caught up to where they can go back to some of these classics and be like, this is clearly a better re-envisioning of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Early in the PS4, Xbox One generation, is we got a ton of remasters and remakes that were just, high-res versions of old games.
Yeah. Yeah, like an HD was the thing. It was going from like 480p to 720 or 1080p, It's just pretty funny.
I suppose we'll get that again with the next generation of consoles, right?
Yeah.
It's like we're going to talk a lot about Final Fantasy VII Remake, but I could totally see them re-releasing this game on PS4 or PS5, right?
Right. It's just, I think
the
thing is that the controls and systems have matured now with 35 years from, gaming being like super rooted in pop culture all the way to now. It's like there's a lot of systems and a lot of controls and like 3D technology and all that have matured and there's some very standard things now that aren't like, why would you do that in the game?
Like if you were to remaster GoldenEye, you're not going to be using the C buttons anymore to control your.
Precisely. Yeah, exactly.
True. I think as long as they remake the right ones, because they kind of get to that point where it's like you almost need to kind of start cherry picking them, because everyone's always got their favorite games, but then there's so many games that I love that I'm like, oh, I'd love to go back and replay it. And for example, if Nintendo did just re-released Ocarina of Time on Switch, I'm not going to complain, but at the same time, I think I'm always of that mindset. I'm just like, I would much rather see that franchise that I love move forward to something new than be like, let's revisit something again. I mean, okay, if it was like, in the case of like Final Fantasy, like I missed number 7 originally, I would never go back and play the original one because it just looks hella dated. So experiencing it as a remake, cool for me. Yeah. But at the same time, there is that kind of like period of time where it's just like, oh yeah, we're gonna remake this and then this. It's like, can you not just make a new one? Like, I love the series, but let's move forward.
What if Ocarina of Time was getting a Breath of the Wild treatment? Where
I'll be all for it.
They like took pieces of both, and like re-envisioned certain parts of the game to be more.
I'll be all for it. I mean, the thing is, here's my whenever it comes to these statements, I have double standards when it comes to Nintendo. Nintendo can do whatever they want. They can remake everything. They can remake every Zelda game, and I'm going to buy it. But generally speaking, everybody else, move your ass forward.
That makes sense. I think the Resident Evil franchise has been doing a pretty good job of that, and once we get done talking Final Fantasy, we definitely have to talk some Resident Evil potential news. I don't know if it's been debunked or anything like that, but
yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah. So remakes, Final Fantasy 7, right?
Final Fantasy 7. Yeah. I assume, Eric, you've now finished it because you were almost at the end.
Yeah. Okay. So my actual clocked completion time is 31 hours.
Oh.
And that was all side quests. But technically, it was 40 hours because I actually encountered a game-breaking bug.
Oh, really?
And but the crazy thing is, it's partly my own fault, but it's also I shouldn't have to like blame myself for it. But basically, like, I know when you play JRPGs, generally speaking, you make many saves just in case you want to go back. But I was like, I'm just going to rely on the auto saves, and I got to a point in chapter 10. I won't say specifics, but I was fighting a boss, and then basically I got the boss to like 3/4 of the health, and it was nearly dead. And then suddenly it glitched me into a cutscene. I was like, okay. And then I just thought, oh, maybe I should have skipped the boss. But then after that, it put me into this weird black void, no lighting, no nothing under the stage, but it checkpointed in that place.
Oh,
no.
Wow.
And then saved over my autosave. So every time I tried to reload, I was post-boss fight. And no matter what I tried to do, I couldn't.
Did that happen before the game, like day one release?
Yeah, it's before they were
released. It did?
Yeah.
There was a day one patch for this game.
Yeah, so it's probably right. But the problem with that one is that, but the problem with that is, and I haven't heard anyone else encounter it, so I must have just got some really like booky thing. But the only other save I had, I'd only ever made one manual save, which was 10 hours ago.
Oh,
and I was like, and I literally had to go through, and because I'm trying to do the side quests, I had to go back through 2 very annoying parts in the game, complete all the side quests, and I was like, oh my gosh.
God, that's rough.
So technically it was 40 hours to complete it, but it was 30 hours in terms of actual clock time.
See, I'm at like 27 right now, and I'm chapter 14.
Okay.
Yeah. I think I'm around 20, and I'm on chapter 10.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like I'm around 20, and I'm on chapter 9 or 10.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be. I could see myself being in there for 40 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's more like I guess the only reason my finished clock time was 31 was because when I did the second playthrough, I was able to skip all the cutscenes up until the point I've been to.
Oh,
so
that makes
probably
sense.
shaved off a hefty amount of time. So I reckon most people clock in at about 35, 40 hours, give or take. So that's about the thing.
Yeah,
which is pretty good. And then obviously you can go back and do more stuff if you want to. But generally speaking, kind of
that makes sense.
That's the way.
All right, so let's talk about the game here.
Yeah.
The game starts. You're Cloud. You're in the middle of a mission, right? With what do they call them? Avalanche.
Yeah.
Eco-terrorist group Avalanche.
Yeah. And you just kind of you get right going, like right off the bat. You start with the action, which is kind of nice. There's a couple of like quick tutorials to show you how stuff works, and then it just dumps you right into the middle of like kind of a mission. And I thought it was a pretty good way to start the game. Right? It's like instead of having like 30 minutes of exposition, which JRPGs are prone to do, like this game just says, here's how you play for a bit, and we'll get to a little bit more of the exposition, like in a half hour or so, in an hour or so, which I really appreciated because it let me start to enjoy actually playing a game as opposed to watching a movie right off the bat.
Yeah. Didn't the original start out that way too? Where they threw you right into knocking out the reactor? Yeah.
It started in the same place of you getting out the train and kind of going right on your mission.
Yeah. It's man.
The intro when you first you're on the train and you seeing like this little cutscene happen and Cloud appears for the first time, I was like, we're in for a ride. Because that was an awesome, that was like a superhero intro of here's Cloud.
So this was one of your favorite games growing up, right?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. And Tefty and Eric's, you never played the original?
No, I played the original. I played the original,
but Eric's you didn't. Yeah. What did you think of the original, Tefty?
I definitely enjoyed it. I don't remember the story in depth, but it like I think I was a freshman in high school at the time, so it was it sparked a bunch of graphic design, 3D art type of stuff that I wanted to get into just because I played this game. So like it for me, Final Fantasy VII has this like this nostalgic, oh man, I want to like learn how to create all this stuff, and hearing that music made me think, how do you the intro music is very simple arpeggios that are going back and forth between like C major and A minor, and at the time I was like, this is magic. How is this possible to like make this sound, so that's the type of emotion that I was having back when I was a kid or young.
So I played quite a bit of it when I was a kid, but I didn't like it. I actually didn't really like it.
Really?
I'd come off of I liked the Super Nintendo Final Fantasies, but Final Fantasy VII was not my jam at all. I had a friend who was big into it, and I'd go over and watch him play a little bit, and I remember just being struck with like how long the loading was, and like how much grinding he had to do and stuff like that, which you had to do in like Final Fantasy VI, for instance. But it was not my jam at all. But I gotta say, I fucking love this game.
This remake is gorgeous. It's so good.
So good.
It's kind of perfect. I've gone through moments of like I feel like I'm watching the most epic thing ever. I've cried, I've laughed at some of the things that they say to each other. There's just been moments where I've been sitting there like, is this happening? What is happening? It's really astonishing. They
Definitely
did such a good job. Such a good job.
My wife has actually been watching me play quite a bit because she finds it quite entertaining.
It's very watchable.
It's just so like it threads this line of being completely ridiculous at times, but then so dramatic at other times, but somehow pulls it off the entire time. Like it's really it's kind of crazy how well it does what it's doing.
Yeah, there's this like in the writing and the way it's being portrayed, there's this definite 90s feel, and also this kind of like Saturday morning cartoon just cringe that's going on, but it all really works.
Yeah.
You know?
It's the classic Final Fantasy cringe that you're just like, this is cringy, but it's amazing.
Yeah. There's this
I like it.
like
it's funny.
It's so cringy, and I'm like, I can't wait to see more of this. It's so endearing. It's weird.
Yeah. Graphically, I gotta say, most of it is just absolutely gorgeous. The character models, aside from being super horny, are like really incredible. Like
everybody's unusually hot. What the hell?
And they know it, and they like to show it off. Like the camera just like will like just stay on like a girl who's like leaning over like toward the camera.
Yeah,
and it'll just like focus on her cleavage and then slowly move up to her face. You know, or they'll do like these little poses like this, you know, like it's kind of funny though, you know.
Yeah, it is. Again, they're like they're willing to lean into this stuff, you know, for this remake. And I don't know, like I have all these emotions about it. I'm trying to pull apart the nostalgia factor to have a clear view, because obviously there's going to be some problems with the game. Like some of the linearity it feels linear, you know, like some of the hallways just are like really nice looking hallways, but it's it's like the emotion of going through the game and the moments that is bringing me in, where I don't even mind those parts of it.
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of like, it's almost like the way it, to a degree, needs to be done. Because the thing is, like, obviously it's a remake, right, or like a reimagining and whatnot. So like it's, you know, there's a good chunk of it that is obviously like for the fans of the original, but it's also a good chance to get people in that have never played before. And I feel like JRPGs in the traditional sense, like obviously there's an audience for them. JRPGs are fantastic. However, for like getting more people into them, they can be quite daunting. You know, the prospect, I mean, we've spoken before, but like, especially if you're like as content creators, or if you're like family members, and you know, you don't necessarily have as much time to game all the time. The prospect of being like, I need to sit down in a JRPG that's going to have 200 hours of gameplay. I need to explore these lands and grind endlessly. Like the fact that we're being given a remake of this story or a reimagining of this story, and we're able to kind of funnel through it. And like, yes, if you want to go off and grind a little bit, you could probably get like upwards of 60 hours out of this game. But the fact that I've been able to kind of experience a portion of this game in 35 hours, I actually quite like some of the linear aspects of it. Like I'm just like, I feel like they laid it out in quite a clever way where there's a little bit of exploration. If you want to go off the beaten track, there's like chests to find and some things like that. And obviously if you do go that way, you tend to like uncover some like special weapons and stuff. So it's definitely, there's a bit of exploration, but I feel like they did it in a way where it's not like full on traditional JRPG exploration, which can be super daunting for a lot of people and that will stop a lot of people from playing. So I think it's a really great entry point just for anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been saying the same thing. I was saying that, you know, even as someone who plays Final Fantasy, there's some games that I've gotten into and I look at the menu and I'm like, okay, what the hell? What?
Yeah.
I'm reading a book and I'm like,
PhD
okay,
here?
so there's this and then the thing and then, okay. But this one does a really good job of, so Final Fantasy VII is one of the best stories in the Final Fantasy franchise. So you can experience that. Plus, I feel like it's pretty good for if you're just new in general. It introduces you in not an overwhelming way. So I think it's,
agreed.
Even if you haven't played the original, you have no ties to Final Fantasy at all, I think this is actually a perfect one to play. And in terms of, it does make me wonder about the next parts of Final Fantasy VII, because Midgar was always pretty linear anyway. And that's all we're playing with the first part. And then it kind of opens up after Midgar. So I'm wondering if maybe we'll have more feelings of like, I'm just going exploring and grinding and killing things and stuff.
You think part 2 might feel more like Final Fantasy 15?
Not so much like 15. Probably still a little bit more linear, but it does tend to open up of here's the world and you can go and explore.
Yeah, it's where the open world opens up in the original game. Right?
Yeah.
As you get out of Midgar and you're now on like a bigger map and you know you can walk around that bigger map.
But I mean they're taking a lot of liberties with this remake. So it's a lot more. It's definitely not a remaster by any means. It is a full-on remake. There's a lot of story liberties that they're taking. They're fleshing out these characters way more than they did in the original, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like
definitely. Like Jesse was hardly in the original, and now actually getting to know all of the people in Avalanche, you have more connections to them. So
That girl
things
is thirsty.
she does.
she
It
wants to make a pizza.
It seems like it's her thing though. She just really likes overly flirting with everybody.
Yeah,
That's just
I
what
picked
she
up on
does.
that too.
She finds it fun. That's her game.
Yeah.
Oh, really? That must have flown over my head. I didn't.
Brian was like, she loves me. And just me. It's just me. She loves me.
Well, she's an actress, you know. She wants to be in the there's a lot of similarities to overly flirtiness. Yeah.
I found her to be charming though. Like even though like it's like completely overdone, and Tifa is kind of like that too. But I find it to be charming in watching Cloud's kind of journey. I don't want to get too into it, but I feel like that's relatively convincing. Where it takes him a while to warm up, and he's still doing it in my game, but it's like it's happening at a pace that I feel it's convincing, and it's not. There's no like dramatic snap, you know, where all of a sudden everybody acts like in a way that they just like. There's no reason they would act. Cloud's a little weird for me because I'm really sick of his. You know, like those get a little annoying after a while.
God,
but
I
like
got these 3 extremely attractive women fawning over me.
But overall, like I really enjoy his voice acting. I think everybody is just drawn so well. Like the character art is so good that you know, and the animation is done so well that it's fun just to kind of be in their world and just kind of lose yourself in that world.
Exactly. I think that's what they've done a really great job in this, and I wasn't prepared for that experience to where I just wanted to be in the world. I want to do these missions. I want to take my time walking through the transitions from the different sectors. Like, it's just great. It's a great experience.
Yeah. One thing that I really liked about this actually is like about kind of like sort of spending time exploring stuff. Like I really like for like a JRPG, I like the side quest system in this game because a lot of the time when you play like JRPGs, it's like, oh, okay, here's my golden lion. And then you walk into a town, everyone's got an exclamation mark above their head. And you're like, oh, there's a million side quests. I need to go and feed some chickens. I really don't want to do this. But you never know. And then every time you complete it, then they're like, oh, I've got another quest. You're like, how long is this going to be? Whereas at least with this one, you open the menu. It's like, all right, in this chapter, there are 6 side quests. That's it. There's nothing more. I'm like, okay, you know what? I can do that because I can check them off and I feel like I've completed. And now I can move on knowing that I haven't missed anything. I think I really like
how far along you are in that side quest too. Which helps. Like some of the side quests I don't like. Like I really don't. There was one where you have to just like randomly walk around a town and find cats. And I'm like, like nothing against cats, but like this is me just randomly wandering around until like I hear a cat meow, and I was like, this is not what I want to be doing. My wife was laughing hysterically at me because you know I have history with cats at the house.
See, I feel like that's just a very JRPG thing. A quest to go and find the cats.
At least encouraging to me to know how close I was to completing that, right? It's like fills in the little bubbles that tells you how many of the cats you found, and like, you know, you have to do it again with some kids later on, and it's the same kind of thing where you just gotta randomly walk around looking for
the good thing about it that I found is like going to do the other side quests, and then if I find one of them, I'm like, oh hey, what's up? And I just do all of the others, and then if I find others on the way, then it's great. And then I found that with the cat one and with the kid one, actually, I had just one left to find. So I was like, okay, I'll go search for this last one.
Yeah, you can do multiple side quests at the same time, and some of them are on the same path. Like you have to walk out of the town a little bit, and like there's one with like a graveyard and like a monster that you had to destroy that were basically in the same spot. So you basically complete them both at the same time.
And I love that they could the side quests like introduce you to the characters of that area more. So it's like, you know, you get to know the kids or you get to know a vendor or something. And it really kind of teaches you more about the people that live in a certain area.
Yeah, I feel like that's what I'm getting from this. For like the slums in the sectors are way more alive to me and rich. I mean, obviously, like look at the graphics alone. That'll tell you one story. But like just doing those side quests in these various areas has opened up the world for the game. I feel a lot of connection to it.
It helps flesh out the characters too, like Cloud's journey of like helping people, not because he wants to, but because he kind of has to. But then kind of like at certain points, you know, he almost starts to enjoy it. You know, like him meeting people like Aerith and and Tifa like along the way, and his interactions with them, and like his landlord lady is kind of hilarious. You know, like there's
she's great.
I like his negotiating.
Yeah.
So...
there are some like kind of issues graphically. I've seen some weird stuff. Like everything looks great from afar. There's one town. Is it called Wall Town? Is that what it's actually called?
Wall Market.
Wall Market. Mm-hmm. Amazing. It looks stunning from afar, but like you start getting close to anything and you see like textures that are really kind of rough, you know?
Yeah.
Like stuff like that. But like frankly, for the most part, it's still on a PS4 Pro. You know,
yeah. I mean,
it's trying to run it at 4K. It's doing a decent job. The frame rate, from my opinion, has been okay, 30 frames per second.
It's locked 30. Yeah, it's
like the game looks. I'm playing down in the living room on a OLED TV, and it looks fucking fantastic with HDR turned on. And
I've seen Tomo playing it on the living room TV, and I'm like, my God, this game looks amazing on this TV.
Those the cutscenes with the characters, I mean, those details are just so intense. Like, it's beautiful.
Yeah, I think some of like the there's like a few like mushy texture and stuff, but I think like generally speaking, it's one of those sort of things where like in games like this, you know, if you stand still just to sort of take a look at something, like, okay, cool, you know, then you can start picking it apart. But when you're just moving through the world, for the most part, you don't notice it. I mean, like,
no, you don't.
I didn't notice like a lot of what people were calling out. There's only one point which happens a little bit after where you guys are at. I'm not going to say what it is, but like, there's a point there where there's like a skybox, which is that's the first time when I was in the game, I was like, oh, that's a rough texture. Like it was very like, as opposed to like when you're standing somewhere high, like, you know, in some games they'll actually render what you see like in the distance, but this is quite clearly a flat painting that is just there. And I'm like,
that happened to me when there's a part where you're up above and you can look down at the slums, and I was like,
the town.
I was like,
that's a rough texture.
That is just
not great looking.
Because that's sort of place where I'd be like, oh, this is almost where I pause to take a screenshot. I'm like, oh, maybe not.
Nothing here to see. Moving along.
Like if this game does get like its own PS5 release or a PC release, like I can imagine it being
supposed to get a PC release in a year, right?
Is it?
Yeah.
I can imagine they're gonna release it again on PS5. So they're gonna announce that the second part's coming out, and then they're gonna be like, oh, well, now we have the first part on PS5, so you can experience
with a half an hour of extra content that you definitely want to check out.
With a beach episode in there.
Beach episode, I'm in.
Everybody's getting together to play a little volleyball.
Complete with volleyball side quest.
Cloud's gonna be super reluctant. Then he's gonna be like, "I'll do it for 5,000 gil." Be like, fine.
He's gonna be having a blast. But this game, seriously, if anyone is thinking about getting it, whether you're new to Final Fantasy or you've played all of them, it is just phenomenal. It has parts in the game that are iconic that I think people who haven't even played Final Fantasy know.
So,
totally.
And it does really well by those scenes.
So for a newcomer, I think another reason why this is a fantastic entry to just jump into is the combat system is really well done. The real-time combat system. If you went to the old Final Fantasies, you'd be, you know, it's turn-based, and that's going to turn some people off. Some people like it, and you can still do
with PS1 load times.
Yeah, with PS1 load times, exactly. This combat system, I absolutely love. It is.
Do you want to know why this combat system is so good?
Why?
You know Monster Hunter. You know how cool the Charge Blade is.
Yes.
The guy that designed the Charge Blade is the lead gameplay designer for the remake of Final Fantasy VII.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
So no wonder the game feels great.
He's a nutter when it comes to combat. He's so good, and he was so that's probably. I mean, there's obviously a team behind it. He obviously didn't single-handedly do it all. But,
right. They took elements from Final Fantasy 15 as well, but this is just better. This is just straight up a better system because in the real-time sense, you can do all your regular combat. You build up these ATB charges to actually perform moves, like either special ability, materia, which is your magic, or you can use an item. And as far as I've seen, everybody only has 2 ATB charges total that they can build up. I don't know if that changes later on.
Unless you use no, it's the same. And there's only the I think the one that Aerith has, the limit break, refocused, can split into 3 chunks.
Oh right, I haven't even used that with her.
Oh yeah,
I'm always like healing wind, yeah. So like what's amazing is you can initiate one of these awesome moves that will do a cutscene-ish type of thing in the middle of the battle, but as soon as you do that, you can then switch to another character to then start doing more actions. So you can, when you have 3 people in your party, you just keep on doing this round robin thing of everybody building up ATB and using a powerful move or doing a cure or using an item and all that. It's just so good. It's so fluid.
What I like about it is that when I'm on simple battles, I don't have to think about it. I can just like spam attack with Cloud or whatever, or whoever my main character is. But when it comes to more complex stuff, I can micromanage the shit out of everything very simply.
And
like
you
feels
kind of have
turn-based
right?
if I want it to be.
Oh yeah, you have to.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's like you get the point, because it's funny, because one of my sort of pet peeves at one point was like, you know, if you lean too heavily into one person, like when you're not controlling someone else, they don't do a great deal. They'll passively attack, but they don't build ATB very fast or efficiently. So there'll be times when like I'm fighting with Cloud, I'm like, right, I could do with the heal right now, and instead of swapping, I'm like, I'm just gonna call them in to do a heal. I'm like, how have you not made ATB in the time that I've built 3 different bars?
What are you doing with your time here?
Yeah, exactly right. But then obviously, as you say, kind of it's funny because they obviously did it in the same way, because it kind of then does semi-simulate the old turn-based system. You know, you'll go in with Cloud, you'll do a load of combos, you'll pull off your ATB, you're like, okay, let me now swap while he's doing that move.
Yeah.
And then when you get that flow down, it's just so cool. Like I think my favorite thing for like Cloud is like when you master Punisher stance and you swap at the right time and you get the counter, it's like, oh, it feels so good.
That's my favorite thing to do. I did like a crit build with him and used a lot of disorder with the Punisher stance, and I was like, this is amazing.
That's cool.
Except when things are flying or you can't hit them with auto attack.
Right. Yeah. Then you're like, damn you, Barrett, where are you?
Flying enemies. Fuck flying enemies.
Flying enemies, I hate them. The thing is, that is one of the worst things in the combat in this, because like they haven't really, apart from like, you know, Tifa's slightly better in the air, but they haven't really got a fully fleshed out aerial combat system. It's just you zip into the air a little bit and then it's a bit rough. And obviously that's when you use magic and stuff. But that's
well, it's like Barrett's perfect, but he's not with you all the time.
No.
True.
Well, I like that though, because I'm constantly like moving around abilities and like changing up equipment. You have like every character you can get different weapons with, and the weapons kind of range from like I do a lot of damage by just like hitting stuff with a stick, or I'm more about magic, or I'm more about healing, you know, stuff like that. And depending on who's in my party, I'll swap that stuff up a lot, and that's kind of fun too. You know, you don't have to, but it helps.
So every weapon that you find, from what I've seen, has a unique ability that you get. Like we were talking about the last week, right? Where this is new, the system or in the game, where you get a new weapon for someone, you have to use that ability. That's usually, excuse me, you have to use that ability that's an ATB charge a few times until you mastered its proficiency, and then you've acquired that officially. Then you can go back to whatever weapon you want.
Yeah,
I love that system.
Same. Once again, this combat system is so good. Love it.
Yeah.
And I love that each weapon you get, just real quick, that it's not just that it has a unique ability. It's got like each weapon specializes in a certain type of play style, is what I found. So you can say, switch to something and learn an ability and then go back to the one that you're like, I want to be magic, or I want to be defense or healing. And I really like that. It's in depth. But if you don't want to play it as in depth, you don't have to. Like fights might take you a bit longer. But there's no point, at least during these modes. Maybe hard mode is a bit different.
Yeah.
But during these modes, you don't have to, but it definitely, you can go really in depth with it.
Yeah. So I ran into a few times. Is there a hard
mode that's going to unlock after you beat the game?
Yeah. Well, 1 second before we get into hard mode. I ran into a few times where I wasn't equipped properly for the right materia, and the battle was going to take a lot longer than it needed. But it was still doable. You know, as long as I was playing smart.
It's just going to take forever.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I was doing more chip damage as opposed to like staggering and then doing big damage. But the option was there. Yeah. And that's what's cool.
One thing that does bother me in combat is the lock-on feature is terrible.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
It
I'm sorry,
doesn't
but
lock
bad.
on.
exactly. Yeah.
Yep.
It's like, oh, click R3 to lock on. I'm like, okay, cool. And then, but this is the most annoying thing because like, have you all got to Wall Market?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So you've all fought the.
But
The
no
arena.
spoilers. No spoilers.
Okay, never mind. Okay, right.
But there's a sequence of
Let me-
fights, right?
I'll do it without naming anything. Basically, there's an enemy that has a shield that you can't melee through, right? So I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
I will target the thing that is not covered by a shield. I'll lock onto it. And it's like, nope,
No,
you're
you
going to target this thing. I was like, for goodness sake, I just want to hit this thing that is not covered by a shield because this is how the mechanic is supposed to work. It's like, nope, you're gonna snap onto here. I'm like, lock on is terrible.
Yeah.
That same battle, Eric's, is the one where I went in there completely ill-equipped for it. Like,
Yeah.
man, I had to chip damage the hell out of that thing.
Yep.
I think that battle lasted like over an hour for me. It took forever. My wife was laughing at me. She's like, "You're still doing this?"
Yep. Yeah. That was crazy, and that's the one that I had to go and redo as well. So like, but the first time I did it, but the thing is, the first time I did it, I did it the chip damage way. It was super slow, and then the second time when I went back, I realized the hidden mechanic for how you're actually supposed to do it. And I was like, oh, then I just did it quickly. I was like, oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll have to share that with me after the podcast.
Yeah.
The actual way I was supposed to do it was.
Well, the usual thing is, I mean, it's not even like a spoiler thing, but like one thing that everyone should be doing is like the assess material you get super early on, like assess everything, because basically when you do it, the little kind of yellow-green text basically tells you the weakness and the way to defeat that enemy. So it'll be like, oh, you know, it's especially weak to air.
That was my problem, is I didn't have anything that was correct for that boss.
Yeah, that's the issue with it. It's like, hey, this is really good against wind, and you're like, I haven't equipped wind in a while.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That eases up once you have more characters in your party, but at that specific point,
Yeah.
it's just kind of limited. You've made decisions and now you got to stick to them.
Yeah. Which again, that's part of like the JRPG feel that happens with these games, and for me, I'm not going to fault it for that design because I think that's part of its heritage. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm not faulting it. It's a great game. I can't believe I like it as much as I do. Having not liked the original Final Fantasy VII that much, I am I'm in love with this game. Like, I'm really having a great time. Like, I'm laughing. Like Watt said, I'm laughing. I'm not crying, but I might. Like, let's see where this goes.
It burrows in, man.
I haven't cried at all in this game.
The streak stays alive.
Yeah. I do have two very small pet peeves, right?
Yeah.
One of them is, why do I have to hold the triangle button for like 50 hours to open a door? Like, you know the whole
only
the whole
some
triangle
doors
button?
though.
No, but the thing is, you know, like any other, like, there's lots of other games that do the hold the button mechanic, but I swear the hold button is only for like a split second. This one's like, I'm holding the button, I can go and make a cup of tea, boil the kettle, come back.
Well, the problem is it's only some doors. So like you walk up to it and he'll do this animation like he's about to open the door, and then the slow animation. Nope, this is a hold door, so you got to start this whole process over again.
Yeah,
true. And the only other pet peeve for me is like, I know like loads of video games do this, and they do this to kind of set the scene, right? But there's a lot of walking in this game. I mean, mandatory walking. Like, you'll go from I can run
the slow walk, the Gears of War slow walk.
And I'm just like, I know sometimes they're like, it won't be the same emotion if like they're having a really emotional scene walking slowly and I'm just running back and forth. But I hate it when I'm walking, when I've been sprinting down a corridor and they're like, nope, now you walk.
You gotta take your time, man. You gotta.
I'm assuming they're loading textures
points that aren't like narrative that it does it. There's this room like in that area in Wall Town, whatever it's called.
Yeah,
where you're in that like multi-segmented fight. Where you have to walk into this one room between fights.
Yeah,
and it's you have to slow walk in that room. Like, why? There's no narrative happening.
Just bust in there, man. Come on.
It's true. You know what? I feel like any game that wants to slow walk, just take control away from me and walk for me. I don't want to slow walk. If you're gonna
let me put down the controller
slowly,
and have a drink.
Yeah, exactly, right. But now I have to hold forward and be like, and then you sit there and you jam every button, thinking, "Come on, there's got to be a point where I can start sprinting." But yeah, it's a minor thing. But overall,
also the area that you have to get into to like press triangle to like activate a door or something, or like a lever, it's a little too small. It's like sometimes you gotta. But I mean, these are minor gripes. Like, game is It's really a fun game. It's a wacky game, but it's a fun game.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah,
It really is.
yeah. I'm excited to like when we maybe if we can speak about it next week when everyone's finished the game. Like I don't know if we can have like because because I spoke to a friend who is obviously like he's played the original one, and like he just sort of said there are things in this game that are different to the original. So it's obviously it's not conventional remake. It's like, oh, so is the story gonna play up? I mean, obviously, I would imagine the story plays up the same way, but it's like if there's some stuff that apparently didn't even happen in the original, I'm like, oh, so are we going same way? Are we going different direction? Like, what are they doing with this whole thing? So
it's like when they
maybe once we
it's like when they reboot Batman all the time. You're like, oh,
yeah,
new origin story of Batman. Okay.
Maybe once we finished it, like once we've all finished it, we can have like the last 10 minutes of one episode is just
that'd be cool.
Yeah, that'll be good. Put it at the end, so then you can be like, okay, guys, you can check out now. You're not going to miss anything besiide spoilers. We'll do that.
Does anybody
because
have
I'd love
plans?
to talk spoiler talk about it.
Yeah. Does anybody have plans to do hard mode?
I want to dabble in it.
Yeah.
No, I have no
what hard mode is. Now that I've heard what it is, I have no plans to do that.
Yeah, from what I understand, it's you can't use any items, right? And the enemies are harder. Yeah. So it only unlocks once you beat normal, and then hard mode. So yeah, it's harder, and you can't use any items throughout the game. So you have to rely on benches to restore, and you got to rely on ATB charges like crazy for doing planet. It basically makes you have to use the fight system really well. Which I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah. It sounds interesting, right? Because it's like maybe those MP up materia, I'm going to want to stack a bunch of those so I can, use cure more because I'm not going to be able to use potions. And it's going to make me really create more interesting builds.
No ether. That's going to be hard.
No ether. Yeah, exactly. No ether. Which is actually
your magic
interesting because that's when it takes Aerith's unique ability, the siphon thing. Like you might actually really want to use that all the time.
Yeah, I would think so.
I basically never
Battles
use
are
that.
going to last forever.
I keep trying to get the arcane ward proficiency, and I always forget to use it. I'm like,
the arcane ward is pretty nutty.
I know, and I've never used it.
The arcane ward is the. Oh, you know why I like using that one? Because using arcane ward with cure.
You don't need to use Cura.
Well, no, then you get the double heal, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's real good. So yeah, I think we like it. I think
It's phenomenal.
I'll give it a 6, 7 out of 10.
6 out of 10.
Yeah.
Too many extra pop-ins, but it's pretty good.
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Too much slow walking. Too many times pressing hold slow buttons. But otherwise it's good.
Actually,
I had no idea how I'd feel about this game coming into it, and I can't believe how much I like it. I actually bought the physical copy. I went to Best Buy.
Oh my god!
I had them bring it out to me anyway. I went to the wrong Best Buy actually. I ordered it from one and went to the wrong store to pick it up.
Hilarious. So I have a big gripe about the game.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, it's that we're probably not going to get the next half of it for another decade, man.
So I
fair.
saw, so Mr. Goodbites in chat was giving us some infos and said that apparently in November, December of 2019, they said they had just started working on it.
Dear God.
When did they start working on this one? Like 6, 7 years ago?
15 years ago? Didn't they announce it in like 2005 or something like that? Where they were doing a remake?
Yeah, but they completely rebooted it between then and now.
You don't say.
The one thing I think about that is, I mean, although it's still going to take a while, and especially considering from what people have said about the next part of the story is like going to be the bigger, more open area. But what I'd like to think, at least from like a development point of view, like obviously part of the length to kind of get to this point is like there's a lot of like infrastructure and systems and like combat design and stuff, which obviously had to be built with the content as well. But now that obviously you've got the foundation in place, like the combat system is there. Like all like the logic-y stuff. Like I would like to think that the next expansions is just like a boatload of content, which is just like obviously that's still work. You need to create assets and story and voice and stuff. But if they've done a lot of the foundational stuff, maybe it might be quicker to turn around the next ones potentially.
Yeah, I'm definitely assuming that.
Quicker.
Yeah, it's got to be quicker because again, all these systems are worked out. They've got the combat system. They've got the quest system and the cinematic system and all those things and the chapter system. All these are made. They just have to fill in the content. And
if it's any longer than like 2 years, I'm gonna have to replay it. Otherwise, I'll forget what happened. You know,
I'm like, all right, guys, we're going back on hard mode. We're gonna try and get through it on hard. Might as well.
Yeah, I don't necessarily mind that I have to replay it again once it finally comes out in the next episode or chapter, and however many chapters that is. But man, my biggest complaint right now is the fact that I'm gonna have to wait probably a painful amount of time for the rest of it.
Yeah.
Man, I wish it could be an every year thing.
That's
They'll
what I love.
release this one next
It's
year.
Final
on
Fantasy
PS5.
7 time. Yeah, I'll play through it again on PS5. But
Right?
Yeah.
Don't forget about that volleyball level.
Because also kind of like a different thing, because for you guys, obviously you haven't like played or like know about the original one. You know, you're like you know what is to come, so you're excited about it in that respect. Whereas for me, like I don't know what's to come, so I'm left on a dirty great big cliffhanger of like, what is next? Whereas you guys are like, oh, I know what's next, but I want to experience it. So I'm just like,
I don't know. Do we know what's next? I mean,
well,
They're taking a lot of liberty.
Yeah.
True.
I can't wait to talk spoilers.
Yeah, tune in next week.
For
If
spoiler
we're
arenas.
done by next week.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we can talk about it. They can come back to it.
True.
I got to talk about my MiSTer a little bit here.
All right.
We'll take a private moment to talk about my MiSTer.
How about that, Mr. Briar?
Oh my.
So not yesterday. Today is Monday. So Saturday night, I downloaded the CPS1 core for the MiSTer, which includes all of Capcom's CPS1 arcade games, including Street Fighter World Warrior, Street Fighter Hyper Fighting, Street Fighter. I can't remember the other one that's in the pre-alpha stage, and Alpha, Street Fighter Alpha 1, as well as Strider, Ghouls and Ghosts, a whole bunch of kind of classic CPS1 arcade games from Capcom. And holy smokes, not only is it cycle accurate, there's a video I watched today where it was a video of the MiSTer playing Street Fighter and an actual arcade machine playing Street Fighter, and to the frame through 5 minutes of footage, it was still to the frame accurate.
Wow.
Which is pretty impressive.
That's impressive, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Plus, you don't even need like the mega CPS or mega MiSTer setup to do this. You can get like kind of the low. You can get like
MiSTer?
a baseline MiSTer setup.
You don't need a mega MiSTer.
No, you can have a little MiSTer to play this.
Oh my!
It is stupendous. I was playing some Strider last night. Do you guys remember Strider on the Genesis?
Vaguely.
Or is that?
Yes, vaguely.
Okay, so Strider was a really amazing game. It was like when it came out, it cost a ton of money because it was like a big, huge cartridge to try and like fit all the assets from the arcade game into it. And it was amazing, right? It was one of my favorite games as a child. Playing the arcade version of it, am I breaking up for you guys?
Yeah. Yeah, you are.
Playing the arcade version of it is unbelievable. It looks so good. It plays so smooth. It's just amazing to have that kind of power, that kind of arcade hardware sitting in the house. And I also hooked it up to a CRT television.
CRT.
Awesome.
CRT television.
How much that run you?
I gotta say, it was free. You just get these things for free off of
How old is that TV?
2006.
2006 CRT monitor that you picked up during a pandemic.
Right. That happened. I got it off of Craigslist. They're basically, if you just like go on Craigslist and like type in like Sony TV or Toshiba TV, you can get a really nice CRT television for free, or, you know, like a few dollars, like $10, $15, $20 or something like that. You got to go pick it up.
It's heavy too, right?
Look, yeah. Well, this one's not. I just got like a little 20-incher, so it's actually really small.
Oh, okay.
But it looks really nice, and it's this Sony, and it's got component video inputs, which I didn't even know they made CRTs with component video. Components are the RCA plugs with the red, green, and blue plug.
Right.
Oh yeah.
So it separates all the colors, and a really nice picture.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, man, playing those classic games on a CRT really brings me back. I did go and hook up the MiSTer to my OLED though. It looks really good on our OLED as well.
The MiSTer is capable of many things.
The MiSTer is multifunctional. It's the multi-tool.
Device of magical
Multi-tool
abilities.
classic gaming.
The magical MiSTer.
That's
It
really
is
cool.
so cool to be able to play the arcade versions of Street Fighter though, with
Yeah.
like no latency, no input lag at all.
That
No
is
display
actually
lag.
that's really amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you
That's
make
cool.
an arcade cabinet out of it and then like mount the TV?
Oh, you
to it?
definitely could. Yeah, you definitely could.
Yeah, that's.
I'm not going to though. I don't even know how long I'll be able to like the CRT. I have no place for it. Like I have zero place.
Talking about it, it's right behind you.
Television. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
I'm
It's
like,
fine.
hanging out.
in the middle of the room.
Perfect
It's fine.
spot. Yeah. That's great.
So I don't even know how I'll be able to keep that thing around.
Well, that definitely makes me interested in that setup because like the arcade games do feel different in the arcade.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And like you can buy a joystick, you know, with a USB plug into it, and just plug that in. You have that arcade experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's really cool.
Nice.
You know, you already had the full Neo Geo library, which has a ton of really good games. Sega System 1 is already on there. Oh, I should say, if you want to get the CPS 1 stuff, it's not public yet, so you have to actually.
You got to
I
know
had
a guy.
to. Basically, I had to subscribe to a guy named Jotego. It's Patreon for $3 a month. He's the guy developing the core.
Okay.
And he's releasing beta versions of the core. Once he's done with it, it'll be available to everybody. But
Nice.
while he's developing it, he's just releasing it to his Patreon followers, which I think is fair.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. Again, how much did that setup run you? Minus the CRT. Or, obviously the CRT was free, but like,
Well, I went all out. Like I kind of went. I got
Okay, well-
every possible thing.
what's like a basic MiSTer going to cost somebody who wants to do that arcade setup?
A basic MiSTer that you can do that on, $130 for the DE10 board, and you probably want to get 32 megs of RAM, which I think is around $20.
Okay, that's not bad.
No,
It's not terrible at all.
Yeah. Cool. Back on to remakes.
yeah,
There's a rumor and
Yeah.
Whisper on the internet.
there's a whisper that RE4 is officially, I mean, saying officially is
Ooh.
incorrect, but like RE4 is rumored to be also in development, which I don't think is a big surprise at all.
it's a
Personally,
bummer to me. Personally, it's a bummer
why?
because it's already a newish game to me. You know, like obviously I'm as old as dirt, but it's to me it's a newer game. And I really want Code Veronica to be redone because that's still like that old school tank control kind of game. I feel like it getting like a remake would expose that game to more people because I don't think it was really that popular. It was on a
Right.
Dreamcast, right? Did it come out on the GameCube as well?
Yeah.
Like I don't feel like that many people got to play that game, and it's a really good Resident Evil.
It is. And it kind of
Um,
follows the story that we've been playing.
Yeah,
It's technically the
So
sequel,
it's
right?
relevant.
To RE3.
it was supposed to be RE3.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
RE3 was supposed to be more of a side story,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not sure exactly what happened to change that up. But I gotta say, like, Resident Evil 4 is fucking phenomenal. It's an amazing game. It changed the landscape of gaming when it came out. If they do what they did to Resident Evil 2 with Resident Evil 4, I mean, I can't wait to play it. If they do what they did to Resident Evil 3 with Resident Evil 4, there's going to be a lot of really pissed off people.
But again, though, wasn't that mostly because the roots of RE3 were just not quite as robust as RE2?
I was watching My Life in Gaming stream the original Resident Evil 3 a couple of days ago, and I was shocked at how much they omitted.
Oh,
From
They
the
took out a
remake.
lot.
really?
Yeah.
A lot. Yeah.
That's too bad.
Yeah. Like there's this whole clock tower sequence, which is really an amazing sequence in Resident Evil 3, where Jill meets or fights. She's about to get rescued, and the Nemesis uses a rocket launcher to shoot down the helicopter that's going to rescue her. And then they have a big battle, and she gets injured. Like it's a huge sequence, and it's completely gone.
Yeah. That's probably one of the sequences I actually remember the most from Resident Evil 3. from playing it. That was that moment where I was like, oh God. So it's something that really sticks in my memory. So yeah, there is a lot that they took out for Resident Evil 3. So I'm hoping they don't do that
Maybe
more. I'm hoping with it being Resident Evil 4 and that being like that was wildly successful.
Right.
People love Resident Evil 4. Whereas Resident Evil 3, I think, was some people's favorites, but not necessarily everyone. So I'm hoping that they really do look at it like we have to do good by it.
Where Resident Evil 2 felt like a labor of love, Resident Evil 3 felt rushed. If they do that to Resident Evil 4, like that's not what I want.
Yeah, I don't think anybody wants that.
Yeah.
Obviously. It's also possible that maybe they are working on Code Veronica as well. I mean,
it could be.
They're
just a rumor, right?
Yeah, they're checking all these off the box, right? And if Code Veronica is technically next, I mean, maybe they're also working on that in addition to RE8.
Mm-hmm.
One of the rumors I heard in connection with Resident Evil 4 as the next remake is that because Code Veronica was co-developed by another studio, that's why it's not going to get a remake.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Freaking legalese, man. Throwing a
I really I hope not, because Code Veronica, for people that played it, this thing had like almost a 5 out of 5 in terms of how it was rated. Like, it was rated very, very, very highly. A lot of people loved it. It's a continuation of the story that we've been playing. It makes so much sense. And it came out in 2000. So it's, it's an old game. It's 20 years old. So having a remake for it would be very good.
That's what I'm saying. I know a lot of people have been like, Briar, a lot of people like yourself is saying it doesn't need a remake, man. Come on. I'm like, that RE engine.
Resident Evil 4?
Code Veronica came out in 2000. When did Resident Evil 4 come out?
My bad.
Let's look it up.
Probably not long after. I'd say 2003.
2005.
I've seen some footage of RE4. I've seen
it's 15 years old.
Yeah, I've seen some recent footage. And I'm like, yeah, it could definitely use the RE engine touch up.
It's not as hateful toward your eyeballs as those old PlayStation 1 games, though.
True.
Like those PlayStation 1 games, to me, the PlayStation 1 is hard to go back to. Like those old 240p polygons are rough to look at, especially on modern TVs that don't really scale them that well. Like it's rough. At least, Resident Evil 4, I think it came out first on the GameCube, and like the GameCube was much more powerful. Like it supported 480p. Like it looks a hell of a lot better than those PlayStation 1 games.
Yeah.
Like a hell of a lot.
Yeah.
Well, that's the rumor.
Maybe they'll release it.
And I don't want to play that game without Wii controls.
Maybe they'll follow the Final Fantasy framework and they'll release Resident Evil 4 Remake Part 1.
Part 1, Part 2, Part 3.
Yep.
Oh, my God. Yeah.
When's the last time Resident Evil 4 got a re-release or like a remaster? Because I feel like it's been not that long. I'm going to Google that real quick.
Yeah. I have no idea.
Yeah, I have no idea. I own it.
Resident Evil 4 as well has like the over-the-shoulder thing instead of the fixed camera, which I think is another big reason why people are like, "Oh, I really want Code Veronica," because it's updating it to be more of a modern type of game.
Yeah, instead of tank controls in Code Veronica.
Yeah.
To more modern.
I remember people were pissed off when Resident Evil 4 was announced and they got away from the tank controls.
Yeah.
Like and you could walk and shoot at the same time. What heresy is this?
Wow.
All right, I'm looking at ports right now. Let me scroll through to the last port. There's a Wii edition, which was excellent. There was a mobile edition. There was an iPad edition. There's an Ultimate HD edition on Windows.
Oh.
Resident Evil 4 was re-released on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One in 2016. Like this thing's like Skyrim. It's been released on like everything since it came out.
True.
So why not remaster it?
Put it on Nintendo Switch and then you can have Joy-Con controls.
So this is interesting. It's on Capcom announced in October 2018 that Resident Evil 4 would be published on the Nintendo Switch sometime in 2019, along with Resident Evil and Resident Evil 0. All three games were released on May 21st, 2019 worldwide. And so it actually came out as recently as 2019.
Wow.
It's on the Switch right now.
Yeah.
Actually,
Right? I didn't know that.
I didn't realize that.
I didn't know that. Are we sure? Wait, Resident.
That makes
This is what Wikipedia says. I don't really know.
It makes the
Room
rumor
for
seem even
Switch.
more crazier.
Yeah.
I don't trust Wikipedia.
Oh yeah, first 14 minutes of Resident Evil 4 on the Switch, May 21st, 2019.
How's it look?
Oh, okay.
Describe it.
Does visually describe. It actually looks pretty good.
Is it widescreen? Did they make it a widescreen game?
It just looks like a normal
game.
Normal game. Yeah. It actually looks. I'll post it in chat so you guys who are watching live.
Jeff, there's your remake. There's your remake.
Yeah, maybe it's already here. Maybe it's
on
time.
Switch right now.
Oh my
I
god, it
know
looks
that-
fantastic.
The first comment is actually really funny on this YouTube video because someone said, Skyrim, I have the most ports in any game history. Resident Evil 4. Hold my rare thing, stranger.
Oh my.
That's
Oh.
great.
It looks fantastic.
Yeah, it looks really good.
Yeah, this does look good.
That looks just as
I
good.
might buy
as
that game
Resident
today.
Evil. You could put that side by side with Resident Evil 3 and you wouldn't be able to tell the difference.
The remake of Resident Evil 3.
I mean that and RE Engine, it's practically the same thing. Look at those textures. 10 out of 10. That's the power
It
of
does
Nintendo
look
Switch.
good though. You can't deny
It
for a
does-
15-year-old
it
game
does.
that looks pretty good.
Yes,
Yeah.
Mm.
for sure. But no doubt, man, that RE engine is so good looking.
You know what they need to do? Use the RE engine and bring back Lost Planet. Put that in the RE engine. Give me Lost Planet 1 or number 2 as a remake.
I'm with Eric's.
Oh my.
Lost Planet 1 remake.
Yes, please. Despite what I said at the beginning about companies needing to stop doing remakes and move forward, I said I've got double standards. Lost Planet is also another one of those.
Just remake all the games we love, please. Thank you.
Yeah,
Forget
exactly.
new games. Who needs them?
It's true.
That's great.
They also released a patch for the Xbox One X version or Xbox One version of RE3 remake that apparently really improves the frame rate.
Oh, nice.
Kind of,
Interesting.
to me, makes that the version, like if you're going to buy one, buy that one, because that's also going to be compatible with the Xbox Series X. And they'll probably get like all the
True.
accoutrement that goes with that.
True. Yeah.
Fancy Brian.
Fancy Briar Mondays.
I had to make up for Thursday, you know? That was unfancy Briar on Thursday night.
Can we all just, by the way, confirm that Briar is Barrett? in Final Fantasy?
Briar.
He's like, he really cares about the things that matters, very lovable, but he will kick down your door and yell at
Yes.
you.
That's true.
Oh man. Well, is that
Barrett's the best character.
is that the episode for the week? I feel like the big
think
thing
so.
was Final Fantasy.
But yeah.
Yeah, Final Fantasy is a big deal, you know?
It is a huge, yeah.
It's bigger than I thought it was going to be. Personally,
For you or for the community?
for me, I didn't think I was going to be this enthralled with it. I was going to be like, "Oh, cool! This remake is fun." Yeah, I remember playing Final Fantasy 7. Now I'm like, "When's the next episode?" God, I don't want it to end.
Yeah. It's so true.
I kind of agree. I bought the game thinking, I'll probably buy it, play a little bit of it, and then come on the podcast and explain to you why I hate it.
Be like, man, this Doom Eternal is too much platforming. God, all I want to do is
Doom Eternal there's just too many interruptions. Like it's just, it wasn't as streamlined as Doom 2016. It's still a good game. Doom Eternal is still a good game. I still love it.
That's
It's
why.
just, I don't love it nearly as much as
That's why we can agree to disagree, Briar. It's totally fine.
That's right.
No, I think we're just starting the great debate again of Doom.
Should we
Eternal.
fight? Like, should we
2020.
Final Fantasy
behind the
7 has too much
schoolhouse?
walking. That's my
4 p.m.?
Bring a recorder with me.
I'll
Flute recorder.
take interruptions and platforming over mandatory walking any day.
Yeah.
At least you don't have to. Imagine if you had to mandatory walk through the interrupted platform section. Imagine that. That would be horrible.
That would be bad.
Does sound pretty bad. All right.
There you go.
Well,
I think that's it.
that's the episode. That's SideQuest this week. SideQuest.
SideQuest complete.
Bling. SideQuest 44. I am apparently dropping some frames too, because everybody's watching
Whoa.
Netflix because of the quarantine
Oh, right.
Yeah.
or video conferencing, most likely.
Video
They're watching
better-
Netflix and
Better
video
internet,
conferencing.
Safety. What's
They-
going on over there?
Trying to
your game,
upgrade.
man.
Trying to upgrade to 2 gig down and up. It's tough, man. Well, it's the dream, but it's tough. All right. Thank you very much for watching, guys. If you want to find more of me, you can talk to me at Teft on Twitter and catch my streams, twitch.tv/TeftyTeft, where I'll be finishing Final Fantasy VII sometime this week. I'm excited about it, too.
Ooh.
I am Miss 5000 Watts. You can find me on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. Just look for Miss 5000 Watts, and I too will be finishing Final Fantasy in the
Nice.
next few days.
Nice.
Awesome. You can find me over on Twitter at Arix and YouTube at Arix Gaming. I have finished Final Fantasy, so I guess I'm playing Animal Crossing this week. I'm still doing Animal Crossing and Valorant. Oh, we haven't spoken about Valorant next week.
Oh yeah, we need to talk about
Oh,
Valorant.
right.
Well, maybe next week I'll play more Valorant.
Yeah, has anybody actually played Valorant?
Yes.
Mm-mm.
You
Yeah.
played it, Watts. Okay. Yeah, we'll have to save that for next week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a professional scrub of Valorant.
Briar?
Oh, I'm Briar Rabbit. You can find me on Twitter at the Briar Rabbit, or finishing Final Fantasy VII Remake, or playing Street Fighter and Strider, because
Or diddling your MiSTer.
diddling my MiSTer, playing with my MiSTer.
Oh my.
After I play Final Fantasy, I obviously feel urged to play with my MiSTer.
You have a certain
How
inspiration?
Curious.
I don't know what it is. Something about that game makes me want to just play with my MiSTer.
Oh, man. All right. That's the show, guys. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you next week for another episode of SideQuest. Thanks for all the support out there.
Thanks, guys.
Stay safe as well during all these crazy times. And see you next week. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Yep.